Okay, let's see. It's looking like we are live here. Let's see. Just gonna wait a few minutes. I started a couple minutes early. Let's see what I can do here. There was Ali. Had asked for a certain page. Where was that post? In the user community, Template Tuesday. Yeah, here it is. I'm having a hard time understanding exactly what's going on here, but it seems like Ali wanted us to build this page, which is ironic. And then it seems like Laura is saying that the marketing department is already making it in for you. Most of this is pretty obvious how to make this. I'm just jabbering. I'm going to show you something totally different than this today. So just as we let a few people join the group here, I'm going to just talk about this. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, this is all pretty obvious. This is a block up here with a button and, logo. And these are some images on this, this is all just images, 1, 2, 3, 4 images. So a bunch of different columns here that show these, that to display, because you can see that this is an image. If you just grab it, you can roll it around, see that's an image. This is a background image in this implementation. This page was actually probably hand-coded, but that's because it was made before Ontrapage's V3 came out. Now you could do this, all of this in the new editor. So let's see. I don't know what exactly here is much of a mystery, except maybe, I mean, this is pretty simple. 2 columns. It's an icon. You can, these are dividers here. This would be an icon that you would set on a text area. So I can just, oops, not that. Just real briefly, so you can see how that would work. That would be a 2-column situation with some text. And then when you click on this, you can just select an icon outside left, or sorry, let's make it inside left so that outside left is right. There we go. And then you can just search for the actual icon, which is, in that case, was a check. And there's a bunch of different checks. You can also go to Font Awesome, find their checks. That's one that looks pretty much like one. I kind of like that one. And then you can, of course, change the size and change the color to make it green or whatever that was. That's the hover color, but you can make it green. So yeah, and then you would just basically, copy that, copy, and then you can drag it over there, drag the divider in between. Obviously, the dividers have settings, so you could make that, the divider would need to be a little bit, thinner. Just edit the style, make it 1 pixel, and maybe like gray or something, light gray, to make it look a little more like the original there. But yeah, that's how you would do a block like that. And yeah, again, this is just a background image with some text, pretty simple stuff. Going down this here, there's a block in here that already has this set up. So if you look for pricing options, you can just add that block, and then you can tweak that a little bit to make it pretty much look like what you want. And you do that by adjusting the spacing and this and that, but it's the basics. And these things are just columns and rows with this same thing here too. This would be 3 columns with some borders. You can set the borders on let's see, how do we, I guess I don't have a blog that shows this, but yeah, I mean, I would just come in here and set the borders on some of these things. Border radius 1, and maybe change the color or whatever. And I'd set it up all the way I wanted it. And border solid, there we go. Dark, 1 pixel. And then I'd set it up the way I wanted it, and then I would just make sure, and then I would copy them, copy, and then you drop icons in the middle of each one of these columns so you have that stuff, the X's, and this is the background of the column. This is all pretty simple stuff, but we'll make this template for you and throw it in there. Today, though, since I got you here, I wanted to show you something pretty different that I've been working on, which is it kind of shows off some of the advanced features of Ontraport pages. And that is, I've been thinking about membership functionality and thinking that, right now we have some very sophisticated membership functionality in Pilot Press. But in order to use it, it's quite a bit of setup. You got to set up a WordPress site, and then you got to install Pilot Press, and you got to set up your membership levels, and blah blah blah. It's kind of a lot of stuff, and it takes a little bit of time to do all that. And then you've got a very robust membership platform. But I think that there's a lot of cases, including basically every case that we would use around here at Ontraport, where having a full-on password management system and all that stuff is maybe a little bit overkill. And I thought about building a membership site using Ontraport pages and the conditional block functionality. And so I spent a little bit of time over the last day or so doing that. I want to show you what I did and how I did it. There's a couple of things about it that aren't exactly perfect just yet, but they're going to be soon. So I won't share this all with you just now, but in the next week or so, I think that we'll get a couple of little details ironed out to just make the experience perfectly smooth. And then I'll just share this with you. And I'm curious to hear what you think. If this is something that you guys would use in your businesses, to me it seems like a pretty cool alternative to the complexity that WordPress is, because this is done 100% in Ontraport pages. And so yeah, I'm going to just show you first of all the user experience for this thing. So I made this page called OPages Members, and you guys can play with this. It basically works. OPages membership.pages.ontraport.net. Obviously, you could put this on your own domain. So yeah, get access to the private members area. It's the simplest membership site ever. All in Ontraport pages using conditional blocks. So register now. So I'm going to register. Brandon, I'm going to say Landon5 at Ontraport.com. And then I added this 4-digit PIN number. This is kind of interesting. The first version of this, I didn't have a PIN number. You don't need to do this at all. But if you don't put some kind of passwordy sort of thing on there, then anybody that sort of knows you're a member could use your email address and just log in using your email address alone. So if you don't care about that, then I wouldn't even bother with this PIN number thing. But this is kind of an interesting little password system I made. So I did this all with fields and campaigns, which you'll see here in a second. So I made a PIN number. So I'm going to register now, get started, and it just processes. Then it says check your email. I'm not going to get into my email right now, but I can tell you what it does. It just sends me to this page that says main. So it'll just links me to this this page, and here's what I've got. This thing already is working. So it's it's showing me these lessons here. It's lesson 1, how to draw Bob minions, and you can start here. Lesson 2 says this will be available when you're done with lesson 1. And so yeah, and then I've got lessons 3 and lessons 4, so this will be available when you're done with lesson 2. Obviously, the design of this thing is completely up to you. I just used one of our templates that's built in, and just kind of threw this together pretty quickly. but I just want to show you kind of how this works. So get started with lesson 1. This takes us to a video page, so easy membership. Lesson 1, it couldn't be easier. It's got a big video block about this lesson. You can put whatever you want there. If you want resources, you can download the worksheet. And then it says here, when you're done with this lesson, tell us how you liked it and click done to unlock the next lesson. I'll tell you why I did this. There's a reason other than getting feedback in just a minute, but I'll just show you kind of how this works. It was awesome. Done, unlock lesson 2. And then what you'll see here is when we come back here, lesson 2 is unlocked. And then let's see, instead of making lesson pages for each of the rest of these, I just kind of got a little bit silly and made a test here. So 7 minus 2 is 5. If you put the wrong number in here, it won't let you pass. But if you put the right number in here, it will. And then lesson 3 becomes unlocked. This is a fake purchase. So if you wanted to, throw an order form in here, I'm just kind of like showing you that if you want to, you can put an order form here. I just didn't want to deal with it this time. And let's see, this is that's a little bug in my system there. I'll figure out why that block is showing. But number 4 here is now showing. And then boom, oh hell yes you did. So that's the 4th lesson. And obviously you could continue to add additional lessons here. What's interesting is that if I go to Ontrapage's main here, and I'm going to show you an incognito tab. If I go to this page, it doesn't know who I am, right? Incognito removes cookies and sessions and stuff like that. And so can't see any lessons. You can register or log in. Now, if I try to register again, I've got it set up so that it won't work because my email address is already registered. But I can go log in. And if I go to log in, I think I used landon+5 at ontraport.com, and I think I used 1234 as my password. And then boom, it remembers. Again, there's that bug, but it remembers where I was and unlocks the system. So that will, if I go to another computer or whatever, or if my cookies are cleared, it instantly unlocks the thing, and there we are. So pretty cool system, if you ask me. And I just want to show you how I built this thing out. We'll be curious to hear what you think about this. If it's something that you would use, stuff like that. So this thing comes with a bunch of different pages. There's the register page. There's the thank you page, which is the one that says, hey, check your email. There's the let's see, that's not part of it. There's this the login page, which I showed you. The lesson 1 page, which is the which is this one here. And then the lessons overview page. So all the different lessons overviews are happening on this one page. So what you'll see here, and this is the page. Oops, done with this. Back to all lessons. We've got this double block thing happening here. So this is 2 of these are showing at once. So there's a little problem here. I'm going to just fix it. It's this block here has some settings that are wrong. Display settings, what is the problem here? Oh, it's that right there. That needs to be an and. So done, save, and that should fix that problem. And yeah, it did. So now we're showing the right thing here. So I'm going to show you what I did here. So first of all, these are basically a bunch of different blocks that all have different conditional display settings. So the first one just is always going to show. This shows if you put in the wrong PIN number. I've got a system that kind of like locks you out. I'll show you how that works in a minute. Then this one always shows here. And then here is the first sort of overview menu. And then here's the second overview menu that shows both buttons working, the third one that shows 3 buttons working, and the fourth one that shows all 4 buttons working. So, so basically we're just showing and hiding these overview blocks depending on some tags that get added to this contact as they move through the lessons. And I'll show you kind of how it works. So if you just open up this block and you look at display settings, there's three tags here, or three conditions on this page. The first is that, so this is the very first one that says the membership contains level 1 but doesn't contain level 2. And also this user is not locked out, doesn't have the tag lockout. And the lockout is the tag I add if they add the wrong PIN number. They try to log in with the wrong PIN number. So, so then, yeah, basically that's as simple as it is. And if you go down here, this is going to say contains level 2 but doesn't contain level 3, and also doesn't have the lockout tag. And then onward, these are just the same exact thing. Contains level 3 but doesn't contain level 4. And then obviously it contains level 4 is going to be how that works. So and then of course if I go back, let's see, I think I saved that, yeah. If I go back to my list, you can see the lesson 1. Also this block here has, it says, looks like you don't have access to this lesson, but that doesn't show unless they don't have access to the lesson, right? It doesn't contain level 1 or they're locked out. So it'll show, so if I go, basically to this page in an incognito tab, then you'll see, let's see, I must have, I have a window open with this still, where is it? Let's see. Oh, it's because I've got this pearl which is identifying me. So if I go to lesson 1, yeah, it's not going to show the lesson there. But if I go to log in, and I log in, oops, Landon +5 at Ontraport, come on, .com. I put in the wrong password, log me in, and it's going to say wrong number, try again. And then if I go back in here and give them the right password, it should work here in a second. There's a little bit of a delay right now. I'll explain what's going on there in a second. There it is. So now I'm logged back in here. So this is all working as advertised. So that's what's being shown here. So this is showing if they're locked out, and this is showing if they have the it contains level 1 and they're not locked out. So pretty simple system here. So I want to show you the campaigns that run all this. There's 2 campaigns that manage this whole thing. No, they're in the contacts collection. So let's see. First of all, there is the membership one, which is pretty simple. So if I add somebody to the campaign, it just throws them on the login management. So this is the campaign that manages their lesson level, and then I have another campaign that manages their login, like the registration and the lockout and the unlock if they give you the right password. I'll show you that one next. But let's see. We've got this first one here that shows. Let's see if they submit the form. Lesson 1, membership in Ontraport is lesson 1. So it's this form right here. If they submit this form, then it basically adds a level 2 to their thing, which then gives them, of course, access to the next stuff. The next one you'll remember is this thing where I've asked them about what's going on here? Where did it go? Do I have this? Something wrong with this block here, maybe? Let me refresh this page and see what's going on here. Uh-oh, something's wrong with that block. But if you'll remember, I'll have to figure out what's going on with that fourth block there. Probably just linked wrong. I can jump in here real quick and do that. I think I won't right now. But the point is, that was the test, 5 minus 3. So if you go in here and it asks, this triggers when they submit lesson 2 question, and it asks, is the answer right? Do they answer 5? If no, it doesn't do anything. If yes, it adds the level 3 tag to them. And then level 3, again, there is, what is this? Actually, it's not even correct. It's just not blank, right? So correct answer is neither added card number. This was the one that was asking for their credit card number. And yeah, then it updates them to level 4. So really simple campaign that just moves them along through the lessons here. I'm not going to bother with that right now. If you go to login management, you'll see this is a little more sophisticated, but not that much more. It's pretty simple, actually. The first one is if they're added to this campaign manually, it just sends them an invite, an email that says, hey, you're invited to register. Then if they submit the registration form, it first asks the question. So what I did here, actually, let me explain what I did. I've got 2 custom fields that I created for PIN number. And one of them is the input PIN, and the other one is the saved PIN. And so I want to just make sure that they haven't registered already. And so what I did was I just make sure that the saved PIN is not equal to blank, not equal to 0. And because if it is, or sorry, that it is equal to 0, because if this email address is already registered, I don't want to overwrite their previous registration. So if they haven't already registered, then I just update saved PIN to the input PIN. So whatever they put in that form, I make it the saved PIN. And if they, if this person has already registered, if they have already registered, then I'm going to assume that this is, somebody trying to hack this account. So I'm going to lock them out and call it a day. So if this is a new registration, I update the field saved PIN to the input PIN. I send them an email that says welcome, and I update them to level 1, and that's the story. Now, the only other thing that's going on here is that login form, and basically I'm just checking this. So I'm making sure that the input PIN is equal to the saved PIN, and that the input PIN is not equal to blank. I don't want them to add a. I don't want them to be able to add a 0 there, right? So if somebody isn't a registered user, they might the input PIN will be, sorry, the saved PIN will be blank or 0 in the case of the numeric field. So anyway, this is the conditions here. So it's just basically checking if the PIN that they input into the form is the one that is their saved registered PIN. And if it is, then we're going to remove lockout. And if it isn't, then we're going to lock them out. And it's really that simple. So, man, there's really not much more to this whole system than that. If you wanted to add a 5th lesson, you would just go back to the membership page here. You would edit this campaign. I would grab this. Copy the whole thing over, copy this thing and all the following items. Then I just change it up. And then let's say, they submit the lesson 4 form. I think that's a Lightbox form that I created, or I'm not sure exactly even what that is. Let's make sure it's not the same thing that's here. Yeah, it's not. And then let's just figure that submit the lesson 4 thing, and then we will move this to there. We'll delete the condition. We'll add an end, and we'll update them to level 5 instead. So I created a custom multi-select field called membership in Ontraport, that works just like tags. And so that's what I'm updating here. It's not the normal tags. I just didn't want to mess with the normal tags, although I did put the lockout in the normal tags. So level 5, and I replace these with existing values, so they only have one edit. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, we add these to existing values, and so yeah, that would be how I would add another level. Pretty simple. And then if I wanted to go add that to the actual page, I would go to Pages and go to the Lessons Overview. I would come down to this 4th lesson here. First, I'm going to see what's going on with our Ontraform Lesson 4 lightbox. Just going to make sure, clear that out. Make sure that's working right. Lesson 4, insert link. I'm going to save this page. Just make sure this sucker works. Yeah, okay. So that's working. So yeah, let's see what I would do is I'd copy this block. So I go in here, edit, copy the whole thing, and then I'm done with that. Come down to the copy. I would edit this. I would take this row here and I'd copy the row. And then I would scroll down and I would, let's see, I would just edit this to lesson 5. Oops, I did just put 4. This would be lesson 5. And then I would delete this stuff because I don't have any lesson 5. So I can come back in here and remove the drop shadow. So that looks like a nothing. I also noticed that my as the page gets longer, my background here is scooting away from the top. That's going to look really weird. So I need to align this center top instead of center. So I should probably do that on these other blocks too, in case people have skinny little screens. But there we go. And then let's see. I would change this Ontraform lesson 4. That's a form. Yeah, but was there? I guess there was no submit button on that form. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna have to take a look at that and see how to submit that sucker. And then I would just change one last thing, which is the display settings. And I would say contains level 5, done. And then I would go back to this one and I would add does not contain level 5. Add a condition here. Let's see, field is this value, and membership in Ontraport does not contain level 5. Make that an and I'd save that, and boom, that would basically do it. So if I go back to all lessons here, we should see that, let's see, what have we done with me? Oops. I can go, let's just see, let's log in. It's Landon +5 at ontraport.com. 1, 2, 3, 4 was my login. Okay, there we go. And oh right, I gotta add that that 5th block actually to the rest of these other lessons. So that'll be a little additional work there. But let's see. The other thing I need to do is just test this by going to my contacts, going to Landon 5 here, and you can go down to memberships where I stored this thing and add level 5, and that'll do. And if you, oops, that's the preview one. And if you refresh that, and boom, level 5 is now available. So let's see. I think this is pretty interesting myself. Personally, I don't see why I would want anything more sophisticated than this. Given that you can make these pages look like anything, and there's a ton of flexibility in terms of the design of these pages, and obviously now that you have the concept of what you can do here, it wouldn't take much to make this whole site look the way you wanted it to. There's a lot of creative possibilities here. I don't think I would want a membership site that's any more complex than this for ourselves. I'm curious what you guys think about this and whether you would use something like this. I'm looking over here. Is there any way for them to view the restricted content? For example, using the inspect feature in Chrome. No, I don't think that would work, Michael. It's not actually there. You need to have the Ontraport cookie that identifies you as the right contact. Now, one thing is if somebody shared this domain with my personal URL in it, then that would work, because visiting the personal URL identifies me. But then again, if people are going to share that, and there's nothing stopping them actually from sharing their username and password either. So if you're worried about sharing, I don't think that you can stop people from sharing their content if they want to do that. But if people just go here and visit the page, then yeah, this has got me identified with a cookie right now. But if I close that, reopen it, and go to the page, it's not, the content actually isn't there. So it's not possible to see the content unless they have the situation. Obviously, you could make this much more robust. Instead of just like letting people click here to register, you can make this an order form and only add the tags if they have purchased a product. That would be an obvious thing to do. Of course, you could also go into these campaigns, and for the membership stuff, you could add in a bunch of emails here. Hey, you haven't completed this is actually worked just the way it is. If you said started popping emails in here and said, hey, you haven't completed lesson 1, and another one and another one, with some time in between, right? Wait every 3 days or whatever, and say, hey, get back to lesson 1, go do it. Then as soon as they finish it, they move here. They would stop getting those emails down there, and so you could hassle them about lesson 2 in this column over here. So a lot of flexibility regarding communication, upgrading or downgrading their levels. Yeah, I think that this is a pretty powerful set of tools. Again, curious what you guys think about it. I think that's probably enough to get your mind spinning for today. So I'm going to leave it at that. But let's continue the conversation on Facebook, and I will check you guys next week. Thanks a lot.